It's Jasmine Crockett.
Coonskin. She got Davy Crockett coonskin cap. That's all that coon that went up through the roots into the wig.
All right. So Pam Bondi, and I'm gonna play.
She's got a tail, but instead of it being back here, the coonskin caps used to have the raccoon tail on the back when they had Davy Crockett on Walt Disney. She's got them up front.
Honey, I was not even born when David Crockett came out.
I was. We used to watch it all the time.
Well, Pam Bondi sent her ass a warning and said, honey, you need to slow it all the way down. And before I play the Pam Bondi clip, this is where it all started, because last week, Jasmine Crockett, because she's still on her media tour.
Bitch.
She's still on her media tour, and she's basically saying her birthday, I believe, which is the end of this week, March 29th, she wants people to basically attack Elon Musk. So let me just play it.
By the way, that's criminal. That's advocating a specific event. That's inciting a riot. That is soliciting a criminal offense. That's criminal to ask for a specific somebody. And you're supposed to be in the United States House of Representatives, and you're advocating that somebody do specific physical harm to a specific individual.
Let me play it.
She should be short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with, on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes, keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with, on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
Well, taken down doesn't advocate specific criminal offense, but you listen to these sissified fools, and that would be, oh, she said to be taken down. Oh my God, that's. Oh.
But I want to play.
And by the way, she needs to be careful, because she's going to do what Maxine Wastewater does, which is she runs her mouth off, not going to and from Congress or on the floor of the House of Representatives, where she has the immunity. By the way, I'm still intrigued. What did Biden need to pardon the January 6th committee for, since they have absolute immunity for anything said on the House floor? So what were they doing otherwise? Were they conspiring? I bet they were.
United States, Pam Bondi. AG, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Happy Sunday.
And to you. Let me start with those flights to Venezuela. What can you tell us about Judge Boasberg's ruling and whether or not the Supreme Court is going to get involved here?
Oh, the Supreme Court will get involved. This is an out of control judge, a federal judge trying to control our entire foreign policy, and he cannot do it. You know, he dragged us into court on a Saturday without any notice, and then he's continuing these hearings. He's trying to ask us about national security information, which he is absolutely not entitled to. We are appealing. We will be in court Monday. Again, we will win. We will prevail. There are 261 reasons why Americans are safer today, and that's because those people are now in an El Salvador prison. And we are going to follow the law, and we are going to protect Americans. You know, there's a reason why Biden's approval rating was plummeting because of the border. There's a reason why the current Democrats' approval rating is at 29%. People want to be safe. This is President Trump's agenda to keep Americans safe, Maria. It's basic public safety. Get these people.
Can you still hear it?
I can hear.
Out of our country as fast as we can. They're not immigrants. They're illegal aliens who are committing the most violent crimes you can imagine on Americans. Murder, rapes. Ask the parents of all of these young women who have been violently strangled, raped, and murdered. And we are going to continue to make America safe again because that's President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, and we're going to talk with the NYPD commissioner in a few minutes, Jessica Tisch, and I'm going to ask her about the migrant arrests being down and whether or not it's a complete, impact from the president taking these people out of the city. Does this mean, though, that we've stopped shipping people out of the country as we await for resolution here from the Judge Boasberg ruling?
Well, we're continuing with the legal process, but we're also continuing to arrest people. We're not going to stop arresting these violent criminals. The Alien Enemies Act applies today really more than ever. Old law is often the best law if you think about how the laws that have been on the books for a very long time. We are in modern day warfare. They have invaded our country, TDA, Tren de Agua. They are organized. They have a command structure. They are sending money to each other throughout the country and out of the country back to support their terrorist actions. It's modern day warfare, and we are going to continue to fight that and protect American citizens every single step of the way.
The last time we spoke, AG, you said in the next year, in a couple of years, we will not have what's called a sanctuary city. Are you getting resistance from these cities who say, no, we are a sanctuary for illegals?
Well, sure we are, and we're going to continue to pull their funding. We're going to continue to sue them, and they're going to come around. They're going to have to, because the federal government is going to step in and do the jobs of these cities and states who are refusing to protect their own citizens. I truly cannot comprehend how these states, how these governors want to protect criminals over the rights of their own citizens. These are violent criminals. Crime was through the roof. And now with Donald Trump, it's going to plummet because we're going to get them off the streets if the state governments aren't. So yes, we're going to continue to fight that every step of the way. We will win.
What about these vandals on Tesla vehicles and dealerships? Give us the consequences there. And what are you learning once they're arrested? Why are they doing this?
Well, we're looking at so much on this. There have been 3 federal charges so far, and I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. That could be a weapon of mass destruction that they're throwing in Tesla dealerships, that they're lighting these Tesla charging stations on fire that are in residential neighborhoods. I mean, it could cause tremendous damages. And people need to know that 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences, and they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's this basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Well, it's just extraordinary to me that you've got this resistance coming back. We saw the resistance in President Trump's first term, but then after that massive win in November where he won the popular vote in all the swing states, and yet now the judicial part of the branches are getting involved. Are you surprised by these judges, not just Boasberg, we've got 3 others complaining about no men in women's sports and the Doge cuts? Broadly speaking, give us a sense of how you're looking at all of this resistance.
Oh, broadly speaking, we are fighting back every step of the way. We are in court every day fighting against these activist judges. We're not going to stop. Many of them should be recused from these cases. They will be recused from these cases. We're appealing them. Look at Chuckin. Look at Judge Chuckin with the EPA trying to control our money. Judge Chang trying to control the money of the U.S. aid. Judge Reyes, look what she did to Pete Hegseth. She made personal attacks in court about Pete Hegseth, and she's trying to control military readiness. You can't do this. And then, of course, Boasberg trying to control our foreign policy. These judges are out of control. We are going to fight back, and we are going to win. And the Supreme Court will be ready to hear these cases. You know, again, these are federal district judges who are trying to control our nation's agenda. And yes, President Trump won the popular vote by an overwhelming majority. Yep. He won the Electoral College. And the people of America want change. And these judges they are losing, and they realize that, and we are going to win.
Hey, AJ, are we going to hear?
Let me stop everything there. See, one of the problems is this is a totally wrong way to approach this. She's making some accusations. And the fact of the matter is the people, let's start with the deportation. They have not been convicted in the United States of these offenses. Allegedly, they've been convicted elsewhere, or they have been accused elsewhere of these offenses. When you are subject to American law or to the jurisdiction of the United States where American law applies, so does due process of law. You're innocent until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They are approaching this the wrong way entirely. If they had just said these people have violated our borders, they are not here legally, and they can't run across the border and claim our protection without establishing that they're entitled to asylum or they have a refugee status. They did not go through our process. So what happens is they just came across the border, which can be elastic under the law. And it's like they ran into a rubber band, and before they broke the rubber band retracted. So they haven't legally entered the country to claim these rights. If they're just saying they violated the border, they have no business being here. We're sending them back. When they start saying we're sending them back because of the specifics of that they allegedly committed, then you start running into a due process thing. The other thing is, let's be clear, what they're complaining about is what we call Article 3 judges. The only court that's formed under the Constitution is the U.S. Supreme Court. Article 3 says Congress has the authority to create such lesser courts as may be necessary. That's what you're talking about. Talking about district trial courts where issues are put to the test, facts are determined, findings are had, and the issues are established. Then you have the District Court of Appeals, which either has a 3-member panel, a 9-member panel, where they have a supersized District Court of Appeals like the Ninth Circuit. You may have 11 justices on the panel. Then it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's the vet cases, because there's no way the United States Supreme Court can hear all of these cases that involve 360, now 410 million people, since we allegedly let in the 50-some million illegals. And that is the problem. You have to vet them. Now, this is a little hypocritical, and it's my job to call them as I see them. I'm a Second Amendment fanatic. In other words, I support it strongly for a whole lot of reasons. Now, I applauded, and so did a lot of other conservative Second Amendment supporters, when a certain district court judge in Texas, a federal judge, gave the Biden administration and ATF their comeuppance for trying to come up with a contrived ban on braces for pistols. It was set up so that handicapped veterans would be able to exercise the Second Amendment effectively. That stopped everything. Some of the things we've celebrated in terms of wise and prudent Second Amendment rulings by district courts have been upheld by circuit courts and eventually by the U.S. Supreme Court. So the sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. We can't sit here and take this approach and say what we approved of when it is in our favor can't be done for the other side. It just goes both ways. There's a different way of approaching it. And if I can be indulged to give a little sample, it's like when you are directly examining a witness you called, you can't say, you went to the store on Friday the 13th, didn't you? You can't say that. Objection, Your Honor, leading question, sustained, because it's a leading question. It leads the person to an answer. You want to get the testimony from the witness, the evidence from the witness, not from the lawyer who calls the witness. So what you have to do is, do you or do you not recall events on Friday the 13th of such and such month? That's asking an either or do you not? That gives you a choice. It's not suggestive of an answer. That's okay. So what she's doing is a classic screw up, and it's probably due to her age, where you just reflexively don't do this, where you paint yourself into a corner and have to get out without ruining the paint job.
So what are your thoughts?
Effectively done.
What are your thoughts on what she said about Jasmine Crockett? Because I do want to
completely right, but she's doing another thing too. She's making a conclusion of fact rather than an allegation. The allegation is one she has not talked about when she says sanctuary city. It's Title 8. Section 1324 et seq. It's a specific set of laws on the subject. Does she cite that? No. She goes round and round and round making some nebulous accusations. She didn't need to do that. All she had to do was say, these people who are setting up sanctuary cities are in specific violation.
No, but that's not what she's talking about.
No, she did. She said sanctuary cities.
No, but not pertaining to Jasmine Crockett.
No, I know, but I forget Jasmine Crockett. I'll get to her. No, I mean, she said something more serious.
Oh, the judges talking about the.
No, I remember she talked about the mayors and the sanctuary cities. She got asked that specific question. She went around the bush. And ordinarily, she's very sure, very well poised about it, and she's specific, cuts to the chase. This time, she just talked nonsense. I was not impressed. She has a specific law. It's Chapter 8, Title 8, Section 1324. All she had to do was, we're going to apply that series of laws to ending sanctuary cities. Now this thing with Jasmine Crockett, she goes all off on, we're going to protect these people and so on. So all she's got to do is, there's some specific laws on this, which are, these people are advocating a specific set of acts, and it's called incitement to riot or incitement.
So you're saying that instead of her going around a mulberry bush, she just get straight to...
Yeah, straight to the damn point, because it sounds ridiculous, because what happens is her problem. If she approached this mess, I see what the judge's justification is. She's setting up an ideal due process argument for the defense. She's saying what all these people did, and there's no proof in there. All right, the one thing she does not have to prove is, well, it's easier to prove, is these people have no passports, no visas. They got in here illegally. Do you have a passport? Do you have a visa? No. All right. You didn't. What portal did you come through to get in this country? You didn't. You're here illegally. We can automatically deport you because the border is sacrosanct. That keeps an invasion from happening. So they don't have to go through all of this rigmarole. They just can do this straight up. But she didn't posit it that
You, my friend. And I'm going to say, I was looking at you on the monitor while you were listening to Pam Bondi. You seem to be not fazed at all. The Attorney General there, though, is telling you to tread carefully. I'm curious your response, and have some of these protests at Tesla dealerships gone too far?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to say that I participated in a Tesla takedown. That is the name of the website. And it was all about this large protest that they're calling for. And this is a nonviolent protest that they're calling for. And in fact, when I was on there, which is why the Attorney General had to say that I wasn't calling for violence, and it's ridiculous that I even have to say something like that. But because they are trying to twist our words, one of the things that I told people to do is make sure you are adhering to the laws in your area. Make sure you know what it looks like to protest and to be able to raise your voices and to exercise your constitutional right to free speech. And what we see is that they want to dull our free speech rights. They want to make sure that those that are participating in the press, because we saw that there have been recent attacks specifically on this news organization, they want y'all to kind of tamp down what you say and hopefully buy into the lies instead of going out there and just telling the truth. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see that Elon Musk, that his money as it relates to Tesla, well, Tesla's tanking right now, and I'm okay with that. So just in case the slow people listening decide to clip this up later, I just want to say that I have never promoted violence whatsoever, yet I've also never made excuse for those violent actors such as the ones on January 6th. So Pam Bondi, if you have an issue with terrorism, maybe you should talk to your boss about locking back up those guys that he let out that participated in January 6th.
You know what? She just did the same thing she's accusing Trump of. She did more than what Trump did. Trump did not advocate any of the above. He didn't say anything about protesting at all. He just expressed an opinion and told everybody to be peaceful. She is inciting. The cases that are interesting are those cases that deal with A. Brown when they charged him back in the late 60s with inciting riots, etc., and public disturbances. That's what she is being part of. The thing that is bad is she is a congresswoman, and, well, not a congresswoman, she is a representative in Congress. And what's going on is
I make her a congresswoman.
it's inappropriate. She's doing what she was accusing Trump of.
Yeah. So she says she is a part of Take Elon Down.
Yeah, but that's all Trump was doing. But remember, Trump was supposed to be indicted. And there's the investigation of the January 6th committee. Oh, but it's all the same. See, all of this hypocrisy about violating free speech is ridiculous, because it's just like hate crime. It comes back and bites you on the butt right after you get through passing it, because there are consequences.
So now, I guess this is going to be a back and forth between the two, because here's Pam Bondi, again, speaking on Jasmine Crockett's recent comment.
You know, people don't learn. She's using her public persona, her public platform to increase her followers, to increase her significance, and she is threatening lives, safety. You know, when she did this at Tesla, Sean, people's lives are in danger. This is America. We're in a free country, and she's yet encouraging this violence in our country. Think of all the lives that could have been jeopardized in Texas just today by her words and what she's done. But she didn't stop with that. She continued on with Senator Cruz. She has to apologize immediately and denounce the violence.
Okay.
What's going to happen is one of the outraged citizens whose Tesla has been violated is going to shoot one of these fools. And then there's going to be a real uproar. And that's what's going to go down. So she's taking the little cupcakes and taking them to, go out there and mess with the hawks and the eagles and the panthers and the tigers and go on out there, and who's going to protect them?
Well, this is her talking about Ted Cruz.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. I think and I love Colin.
Get rid of that
and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But it's Ted Cruz. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head hard, right? There is no niceties with him. At all. You go clean off on him, right? I think that you punch.
I hate idiots.
Let's talk first about this session, some of your goals. Is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass? No. I should probably be a better politician and tell you, yes, we've got all this amazing legislation that I can absolutely imagine Donald Trump signing into law. And I'm just not gonna lie. I think that right now it is about preserving our basics and getting back some of the norms that make sure that people have food on the table, the norms that make sure that people aren't going through any extra layer of stress when it comes to figuring out education for their kids. So right now, I can tell you that unfortunately, I am not working towards very much that I would consider being the progress train. I am working to make sure that I can minimize the regress train right now. And I think, and I hope that my district appreciates that I am being honest with them.
Yeah, you talking about this, you sound like another hypocritical fool here. How about you getting back to education for the children instead of trying to get them to go get neutered at the veterinarians?
Right. So that,
or putting freaks in the girls' bathroom or in the girls' shower rooms, if you want to talk about education. How about hardcore math, reading, writing, that kind of thing?
Yes, but Judge did say she need a new wig. He said, did Judge just say she needs a new wig?
She needs to get rid of that weave. It looks too fake.
Well, listen.
No barn door eyelashes flapping away.
So they are vandalizing Tesla dealerships and the cars. And if you, as a sitting congresswoman in the House of Representatives, you're part of an organization, take Elon down. Well, you don't know the crazies that's part of that movement that are actually doing these crimes. So
we'll just take the same exact things they said about Trump, but they apply more so to this fool. So, I mean, it sounds really weird. But of course, it seems that nobody listens to both sides of the argument and compares what they're listening to. Hey, this sounds just like that. If they say this is supposed to be illegal, and they put all these people in jail for doing just what you're telling this other group of people to do. Whoa. Mm-hmm. What kind of politics is this? Sounds like Deutschland, yeah?